That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so a couple days ago, I put out a tweet saying, hey, please share your rookie draft boards with me. Also, we made this announcement on Patreon. We made this announcement on Discord. Pretty much, if you're in the community at all, you most likely saw this. And I just wanted to be breaking down these rookie drafts. I wanted to be looking at some drafts where I'm going, okay, crap, those were pretty bad picks. And we talked about that in the video 2 days ago. And I also want to be looking at some drafts where we're going, okay, that was a great value. I really hope that you were trying to trade up to get to this pick and do everything that you can to try to grab that player, as he was clearly the best value on the board. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the second thing. We are going to be talking about some of these players that probably fell way too far. And I think these are the scenarios where if you see a fall like this, you need to be doing everything that you can to trade up and try to get into that rookie pick, even if you have to overpay a little bit, because the prospect shouldn't even be in that range. Say you have a player that is your second rookie overall falling to the mid-first round, then you should be offering early first round price points to go up and get that pick. That way you can try to get that player at a slight discount. Now, I do want to give a massive shout out to everybody a part of Notification Gang, everybody that comes out to these videos at the very beginning of the premiere. If y'all don't know, we premiere every single video every day where I hang out in the live chat. That way, if you aren't able to support the show on Patreon, I completely understand that. And I still want to try to have that one-on-one interaction with you. I still want to try to answer your questions. So we are going to do it through the live chat. We are going to do it for the people that have that notification bell hit next to the subscribe button. That way they come out at the very beginning of the videos. But nonetheless, let's dive into this and let's talk about Trey Lance going off at the 106. And y'all know in the past what we used to do is we used to show the boards themselves. But I've decided that now these videos are getting some more views. It's probably not the best idea for me to come on, share draft boards with actual team names to go along with it and really rub some people the wrong way. So instead, we're not going to bother sharing the draft boards themselves. We can just go through and talk about them. But anyway, here, Trey Lance going off at the 106 in a Superflex League is absolutely absurd. And we're not going to spend too much time on this just because we have talked so much about Trey Lance and why I think that he is the clear answer at that 102 selection. And now I will say a few things here. So the players that you had going ahead of Trey Lance were obviously Trevor Lawrence, and I am on record at this point in saying if you have the 101, you should probably be taking Trevor Lawrence, mainly just because we know if you decide to go Lance over Lawrence, you're pretty much going to be immediately losing out on a ton of dynasty trade value. So even if I think there is an argument to be made that Trey Lance should be the draft pick over Trevor Lawrence if we are talking fantasy football, where we are trying to score fake points and not build a real-life NFL team, still, it doesn't matter too much just because the dynasty market kind of makes it where you need to take Trevor Lawrence at the 101. But nonetheless, let's not focus in on that. Let's focus in on the other four players that went ahead of Trey Lance, and that was Justin Fields, and oh my gosh, horrible. I will say that, and I know a lot of people are going to be in the comment section saying, Mason, you don't know what you're talking about. Justin Fields is clearly a better quarterback than Trey Lance. And I'm saying, hey, there's a reason why the 49ers paid to move up from the 12th pick to the 3rd to take Trey Lance, and they paid 2 extra first-round picks to go along with that. And there's a reason why the Chicago Bears only had to pay an extra first-round pick attached to the 20th overall selection to get Justin Fields, though in the fact that Chicago is significantly worse of a situation than San Francisco is. So I know we're going to get so much hate for that, but I just have to be on the record for saying that over and over again. Also, Ja'Marr Chase. And this is a problem that I've seen in a lot of rookie drafts where people are looking at Ja'Marr Chase and they're going, okay, he is an elite wide receiver prospect. He's an elite wide receiver prospect in his own tier in this draft class. Let's push him up the board. Let's try to get him off at the 101, the 102, the 103. And I've seen that happen in some Flock Patreon Dynasty leagues at the same time. And I think it is a very bad mistake. And simply, it's if you play Dynasty long enough, you really understand the difference between the value of a running back versus the value of a rookie wide receiver. Now, we see this every single offseason, where those rookie running backs that come in immediately and those rookie quarterbacks that come in immediately and produce, their value in a Superflex league is going to skyrocket whatever you have an elite wide receiver. I mean, you already have Najee Harris in a lot of leagues being worth more than A.J. Brown, than being worth more than DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams, some wide receiver ones in that range, and we have not seen Najee Harris yet on the NFL football field. But that's because you're looking at the projected touches and you're looking at the fact that it's so much easier to replace wide receiver production than it is running back production, and that you are seeing rookie running backs and rookie quarterbacks have that potential to skyrocket in dynasty value, where even if Jamar Chase comes out and is very impressive his rookie season, I mean, he is still not going to be worth as much as a Trevor Lawrence, as a Trey Lance. I mean, simply his ceiling does not match what those players possess in a Superflex format if we were talking about a pure value standpoint. So I really hate when you see someone decide to take a Jamar Chase over a Najee Harris, over a Trey Lance, and I've seen him go over Trevor Lawrence in a 12-team Superflex league, which is very bad, but nonetheless, you also have Kyle Pitts going ahead of Lance. And if you are playing in a start 2 tight end premium format, at that point, I think we can say, hey, if you desperately need a tight end, the positional scarcity is there where the supply is so small, the demand is sky high, where I'm not going to argue too much based on the format to take Kyle Pitts. Now, that was not the case in this league where it looks like a traditional just Superflex format where we had Trey Lance fall to the 106. And I also have drafted Trey Lance at the 106 in a Dynasty Flock Patreon league. So I don't know how this happens, but it's easily the best value that we have seen across any Dynasty rookie drafts. Okay, so let's stick it at the quarterback position real quick, and let's just talk about Zach Wilson. And y'all know that we have been on record saying you want a top 9 pick in this year's rookie draft. You want to make sure that you're in the range to get a potential bell cow running back. You want to make sure you're in the range of getting the top wide receiver in the draft in Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts. And you also want to be in the range of those 4 quarterbacks that you're really looking for in a Superflex league in Trevor Lawrence, in Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson. Well, here, Zach Wilson goes off the board at the 110, and we have seen this actually across multiple Flock Patreon Dynasty leagues. And it's just absolutely crazy that some people are coming on and taking Devonta Smith over Zach Wilson. And I understand, guys. I mean, Devonta Smith was a wide receiver prospect that I really liked at the beginning of the process. I mean, if you looked at his production profile, you gave it some context with the other wide receivers that were at Alabama earlier on in his collegiate career. I mean, Devonta Smith looked like an elite wide receiver prospect. But at this point, with all the red flags circulating around his profile, given the fact that he shouldn't be playing in a very high volume passing attack, and he is only weighing 166 pounds, I mean, Zach Wilson, a quarterback that if you look historically, being drafted in the top 3 of the NFL draft pretty much guarantees you at the minimum 4 starting years at the quarterback position, even if you are a bust. I mean, the floor-ceiling combination makes Zach Wilson so much more valuable than a guy like Devonta Smith, so it's crazy to see him fall out of that range. Okay, so now let's stay at the top of the draft, and then after we get done talking this player, we can go further down. And here, let's talk about Javonte Williams going off the draft board with the last pick in the first round at the 112. And here, we're looking at Javonte Williams go ahead of Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and we are already on record saying that you don't want to be drafting those non-elite wide receiver prospects ahead of a potential 3-down guy, because with those 3-down running backs, very rarely are they ever going to lose value after their rookie season. I mean, unless their name's Rashad Penny, unless it's Sony Michel, it's hard to see those players lose value. And also, they are one of the few positions where you can almost have a good shot at betting that their dynasty value can easily double, can easily triple in a course of a single season. And that's what you have with Javonte Williams. Now, Javonte Williams, I did not love him coming into the NFL draft. I questioned if he was actually going to get the team investment that would indicate that they were going to use him as a 3-down running back. But like I say all the time, we are the first people to admit when we are wrong. I mean, I am always going to be looking at what the NFL tells us. And if you are getting told that you are going to be a 3-down running back, which is essentially what we have with Javonte Williams. Now that we saw the Denver Broncos trade up to get him at the top of the second round, the same thing that we saw with the Jonathan Taylor last offseason from the Indianapolis Colts. And yes, I understand, guys, Jonathan Taylor is leaps and bounds. I mean, it's funny to say how much of a better running back prospect than he is over Javonte Williams. But nonetheless, Williams is going to be getting that workload where you kind of have to be taking him ahead of a Devontae Smith, ahead of a Jalen Waddle. And why I really want to bring up this draft pick is you actually have Trey Sermon in this draft going ahead of Javonte Williams. Now, no, this is not a Flock Patreon Dynasty League. This is actually a league that we got sent on Twitter, so I have no idea what the owner who was drafting Trey Sermon over Javonte Williams was thinking. Maybe they were just thinking that the offense was going to be a lot more productive and they wanted the running back in the Kyle Shanahan offense. But no, I mean, taking Trey Sermon over Javonte Williams is so bad. Not only is Javonte Williams most likely the better running back between the two, but more importantly, Trey Sermon was drafted in the range of the NFL draft where, yes, it's likely that he does get a shot to start at the NFL level, but it is not guaranteed. And Javonte Williams being drafted in the top 40 picks of the NFL draft guarantees him a shot eventually at a starting running back job. So Javonte, I mean, fantastic value here. Okay, so now let's go later on in these rookie drafts, and let's bring up Chuba Hubbard lasting until the 303. And here with Chuba Hubbard, I mean, y'all know I love investing into him at this point because we can safely say if you look at that 2019 season that you had from Chuba Hubbard at Oklahoma State, that this is a running back that does have the potential to be a 3-down guy. Now, no, he isn't a strong pass-catching running back, but I think he is capable enough where if he was asked to do that in his respective offense, that you would actually see Chuba Hubbard be able to get targets out of the backfield. And more importantly, he is just playing in an offense where we know that with that depth chart, pretty much if Christian McCaffrey goes down, they don't have the depth to implement a running back by committee. They are most likely going to be featuring a running back regardless of if that's CMC or if you have a Christian McCaffrey injury that is then Chuba Hubbard. And based on the Chuba Hubbard production profile that we saw in 2019, I think we could say if Christian McCaffrey goes down, then you automatically have Chuba Hubbard becoming what Mike Davis was in 2020. And with Mike Davis, you had a running back one. I mean, if you were getting that profile in the 3rd round of your Dynasty rookie draft, even though you are never going to be able to start him in games where Christian McCaffrey is active, you at the very minimum know that there is a path for him to be a starter in your fantasy lineup. And that is pretty much all you were trying to identify with these guys. Now, 2 players that went ahead of Chuba Hubbard here that I just don't agree with. First, Josh Palmer. And here with Josh Palmer, I know he gets the team investment by Los Angeles. I know he's going to be playing with a great quarterback in Justin Herbert. I just simply can't get behind Josh Palmer having a ton of talent given the fact that he was on nobody's radar going into the NFL draft and his production profile on his own isn't too impressive. Not to mention that with Josh Palmer, I mean, he really screams roster clogger. He really screams, hey, this is a player that you're going to be taking because he has the draft capital. He maybe eventually is a full-time starting wide receiver in Los Angeles. But even if that's the case, I mean, what is the best case scenario for Josh Palmer? Even if they let go of Mike Williams going into next season and you have Palmer all of a sudden as the wide receiver 2 across from Keenan Allen, do you think he has the upside to be a top 24 wide receiver? I can't safely say that's the case. I can't safely say that if Josh Palmer was an every down player for the Chargers, he would be a top 24 wide receiver. So even at that point, if he does go through all those obstacles, you still don't know if you're going to be starting him in your lineup, where Chuba Hubbard, I mean, if he is in your lineup, you know he's going to be making a difference. On top of this, you had Kenneth Gainwell going before Chuba Hubbard. Now here, I don't like this at all. I understand that Kenneth Gainwell was a running back that a lot of people in Dynasty liked going into the NFL draft, including myself. But once you have Gainwell just going all the way down that draft board, I mean, going significantly behind running backs that you would expect to actually get opportunity in the NFL, I mean, I think that we have to be dropping him down as well. And Kenneth Gainwell is a receiving running back that is playing in an offense where the quarterback is a rushing quarterback. And we know that you don't want your rushing quarterback to be dumping passes off to the receiving running back, because that is not necessarily going to be as efficient as that quarterback like Jalen Hurts just tucking it down and running. I mean, this is what we saw with Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara last year. So Gainwell really has no path to have that same type of upside as Chuba Hubbard. And really, you're not going to be starting either running back if the guy in front of them is healthy. So if we're just talking handcuffs here, Chuba Hubbard is a way better handcuff than Kenneth Gainwell. Okay, so now let's go back over to the quarterback position, but let's talk about Kellen Mond here, who goes with the last pick of the 3rd round in a 12-team Superflex league. And here with Kellen Mond, y'all know that, I mean, you have to be very particular when you are trying to roster these backup quarterbacks in Superflex. What we talk about all the time is you want to have that player like a Chuba Hubbard. I know Chuba Hubbard's at the running back position, but you want a guy that you know when he is starting for his NFL offense, he should be able to produce in fantasy. And this is why I am saying with a player like Davis Mills, hey, I'm not too interested in Davis Mills. Even if he starts the entire season, he's going to have the worst roster built around him. And with Davis Mills, he provides no rushing upside at all to be able to overcome that for fantasy, because we know at the quarterback position, I talk about this a lot more on the rookie draft guide that's coming out on Patreon at the end of this month, but you need to be chasing rushing upside. Kellen Mond actually does possess that rushing upside, and if he ever got the opportunity to start in Minnesota, which is not likely, we can't admit that, but we can say that if he did get that opportunity, then he is someone that you could be starting in your lineup. This is why we were drafting Jalen Hurts in so many rookie drafts last season, because we went, hey, if he does get the opportunity to start in Philadelphia, the rushing upside is there for him to be a guy that we know as soon as he's announced the starter, he's in your fantasy lineup. You don't have to think about it. And I think that's going to be the similar situation that we have here with Kellen Mond. I mean, going behind players like Seth Williams, Brevin Jordan, Anthony Schwartz, and I know Anthony Schwartz does have his believers, but guys, he is never going to be someone that profiles to see a lot of targets in fantasy. I mean, he is just a field stretcher and that's it. I mean, Kellen Mond is a great value at that point. Okay, so our last player we are going to be talking about will be Tutu Atwell at the 409. And here with Tutu Atwell, I am just looking at this as a 2nd round drafted wide receiver. And yes, I understand. He weighs less than I do. Yes, I understand. Tutu Atwell, just like Anthony Schwartz, we're talking about him being a field stretching wide receiver that is not going to see a significant amount of targets. But if you're getting to the very end of your rookie draft, if you are in the late 4th round, Tutu Atwell is someone you have to be drafting. I mean, this is a ridiculous value. I mean, he goes behind Sammy Reyes. He goes behind Jarrett Patterson, Kylan Hill, where even if you don't believe in the talent, even if you go, hey, the profile is disgusting, he doesn't have the size to be an NFL player, you have to acknowledge the fact that his speed and draft capital alone are going to make it where he is not an every down player, but he is going to be someone on the field consistently for the Los Angeles Rams, creating a lot of space underneath for both Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. So if he is on the field consistently, just say 2 weeks in a row, Tutu Atwell comes away with a lucky receiving touchdown. Just say a safety misses an assignment, Tutu Atwell gets over the top, Matthew Stafford hits him, and bam, you have a 60-yard receiving touchdown back-to-back weeks. At that point, you have Tutu Atwell on your roster. You're going, hey, I didn't start him. He's pretty much a wide receiver that we're probably never going to plan on starting because his production should be so sporadic. But I should probably be able to go get a 2nd round rookie pick for him. If you draft him in the late 4th, and as soon as you see those flash plays happen his rookie season, there's a decent chance halfway through the year that someone looks at Tutu Atwell and they go, hey, this is a 2nd round NFL drafted wide receiver. He just produced in back-to-back weeks. Yeah, I'll give up a 2nd round rookie pick for him. And I think that's a very easy story to tell yourself. I think that's a very easy thing that you could see happening. And if you're going to be investing a late 4th round rookie pick where, guys, if you just now started playing Dynasty, I'm going to let you know something. Those late 4th round rookie picks never turn into anything. Like literally almost never. It's like a 4% hit rate that you're ever going to have an impact player in your starting lineup coming from that range. So if you can get a guy that's going to be an every down player, and if he does have some boom weeks, you can sell at a profit. I mean, there's no better draft pick that you can spend in the late 4th round. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all like this video. I really hope that y'all got something from it. Of course, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. And yeah, I just want to give a big thank you for everybody coming out to the premiere, everybody a part of Notification Gang. I promise you, you are driving the growth of this channel, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for everyone supporting the show on Patreon. And Dominic, Jim, Carl, Jesse, Tyler, Eric, Colby, Cameron, Mike, and Marcus, thank you guys.